All right, so earlier we talked about how function definitions are used to increase readability of your code, they also have a different functionality, which is to follow the computer science mantra, which is write once, use many times, right? Basically, for us to be lazy programmers, keep the number of lines in our programs down to a minimum. Right, we write it once and then we use it many times, and we already implemented the functionality of increasing readability. Right, we did that. We did that with the vertical and the horizontal. Now we're going to go ahead and see how this one works. Write once, use many times. So if we take a look at our program, right, we have one block filled in on the grid. Great. What about if I wanted a second block filled in on the grid? Right? What about if I wanted this one here filled in on it? What if I wanted 5 in a row? Right? I wanted blue, 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 blue. I wanted like a little line. How would I do it? Well, I can go ahead and take this code here and I can copy and paste once, 2, 3, 4 times. I could change this line here from being 5. No, 5 is, no, yeah, 5. So this is the first argument is the x. Second argument is the y. We don't want to change the y. Right, we want the y to stay the same, but we do want to change the x so that we can draw a straight line across. So that's going to be 6. This one's going to be 7. This one's going to be 8. And this guy's going to be 9. And if I go ahead and run that, you'll see I'll get a line, hopefully. Yep, so I got a blue line across my screen. Great, perfect, looks good. Right? But if you take a look at my code, it's 104 lines long already. Right, so instead of us copying and pasting this block of code over and over and over again, what we can do is we can write a function definition for it, and then we could write it once and we could use it many times, and that's going to decrease the overall number of lines. So we have 104 lines at the moment. Let me go ahead and show you how that's going to work. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make a function definition for it. I'm going to say def color box. And now I'm going to take the block of code that I want to run in color box, which is this here. I'm going to cut it out, paste it up here, make sure there's 2 blank lines here, right? And so now what you need to do is think about what information from main does color box need, right? And whatever information from main it needs, we're going to put it up here as parameters. So you can see already we have the red line, right? So it's going to need the turtle. So I'm going to call him P, like I did in the others. P, 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 P. Okay, and now all of a sudden those red lines go away. What else does color box need in order to do its job, which is to create a colored box on the screen? It also needs X and Y, where to go, right? So we need an X and a Y. And I'm going to go ahead and replace this with X here and this with Y. What else does it need? Well, if you look at the color, it needs a color, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take in a color from the user, and I'm going to use the color variable here and here. Does it need anything for this for loop? I don't think so, right? This for loop just draws in a one grid box on the screen. So I think that's about it. So it needs 4 pieces of information from main. It needs the turtle, it needs X, Y, and what color to make it. Okay, great. So it's done. Now we're going to use it. So let's come back to our program over here into main, and I'm going to call it. And the way you call these function definitions, you just say the name of it, but you also need to list the parameters, right? So let's go ahead and give it the arguments that it wants. When you call the function definition, these guys are called arguments. Right? When you write the function definition, these guys are called parameters. So it's I don't know, for me it was a meaningless distinction when I was first learning how to program, but it allows you to speak more fluently and clearly when you're describing your code. So yeah, it's pretty important, right? So arguments down here when you call it, parameters up here when you're defining them. We're down here, we're calling it. So the second argument is going to be the x position. So I want it 5 and 6, right? 5 on the x, 6 on the y, and I want it to be blue. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and run it, and everything should run exactly the same as it did before. But it does not. Why not? does not fill it. Okay, so you see here how I put the end fill in the for loop. Now that end fill goes outside of the for loop, right? So let's go ahead and run it again. See what happens. Bam, perfect, right? Everything runs the same. Now let's have the blue line across 5 of the lines, right? So let's make a line of blue. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to call my color blocks function multiple times. I'm going to write it once up here, and I'm going to use it many times down here, right? And so it's going to be 5, then it's going to be 6, 7, 8, and then 9 on the X. And now let's run it. And you should see this is what we had when we first started, a line of blue, right? Now what's the difference here is the length of my program. If I go in and scroll down, hey, now my program's 71 lines of code when it used to be 104 lines of code. And that's only me using color box 5 times. After we're done with this, which we're almost done with, I'm going to have you draw a sprite, right, using this program. And you're going to be using more color blocks more than 5 times. You're going to be using color blocks more along the lines of 25 to 100 times. So you can imagine how many lines of code we've saved by creating a function definition and writing it once and using it many times.